What is up, everybody? Sorry, I was frozen there for a second. Oh my goodness, starting off with a hot one, but really excited, obviously, to come here live and talk about the Chargers trading for pass rusher Khalil Mack. This is a great day to be a Chargers fan, and we had to do a quad box today to celebrate. So joining Alex, Tyler, and I is Arjun. Arjun, how you doing, man?
Doing amazing. This was, one of the best pieces of news I've gotten this week. So this is how you build around, the best quarterback in the league. Putting my
Yes,
flag
sir. This
there.
is what happens when you have a rookie quarterback contract. You go all in, you make things happen like this. Really excited to dive into it. Tyler is here. He's got the stunner shades on, man. He's got the UCI t-shirt on. Tyler, how you doing, man?
Not too bad.
All right. And Alex is here with the victory pink. This is a good day for Alex in general. We got Ben Simmons back in Philadelphia. We got Khalil Mack traded to the Chargers. We got Carson Wentz in the division. We got Mike Williams extended. Alex is just living large right now.
Yeah, just living large, loving life, and explaining to my family what an emergency podcast is. I don't give a shit. We're here. Khalil Mack is a fucking Charger. John Gruden is fired. Fuck you, John Gruden. We're here.
Yeah, we got two rants this week from Alex about Ciara not producing any quality hits since 2004. We got Russell Wilson's shade. We got Ben Simmons shade. What a week. So obviously everyone here is aware of what has happened. The Chargers have traded for Khalil Mack. I was personally very surprised at the amount of picks that it took to get Khalil Mack. Thought that they would be able to get much more for that. So Chargers sending a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 sixth round pick for the services of Khalil Mack. They are taking on 100% of the contract, although the Bears are stuck with $24 million in dead cap money. So a bit of a puzzling move by the Chicago Bears, but we will obviously take it. Alex, we'll start with you. Your initial reaction today as the Chargers traded for Khalil Mack.
I looked at my phone and there was a sleeper notification that Khalil Mack was going to the Chargers. And I was like, what the hell just happened? But yeah, no, I mean, the more I thought about it, the more it kind of made sense. I felt like, maybe they would have been fine bringing Uchenna Nwosu back, who is, certainly gone now. And, maybe they would have been fine running that back, but I just felt like Tom Telesco valued that edge position more than he was letting on. We heard them in kind of the running for Von Miller and some other edge rushers at points. I just felt like something's got to give. You had the Staley Mack connection from Chicago, and they got a deal done. And we, Steven made a video a month ago about how Khalil Mack was a pretty significant cut candidate. So credit to Steven there. Didn't think this would happen. But really, the Bears didn't have too much leverage. They were going to cut him, unless they got the best offer they could for him. And Chargers didn't even have to give up a first round pick for one of the best edge rushers of all time. So pretty freaking awesome. That's my reaction. Yeah. I know people will talk about his injuries the last few years, but this is a real all-in move. Awesome. 3 years of contract control too, of a pretty serviceable contract, and they still have salary cap space if they want to go get a JC Jackson, if they want to go do something else. No, just it's going to be Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, and hopefully any other defensive tackle than Jerry Tillery, and we're set, baby. Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, man. So I got the notification on my watch. I was out on our campus. And I was like, oh, Khalil Mack traded. And then I was like, wait, Khalil Mack traded? Like where? And then, of course, you find out that it was the Chargers, man. I was hyped. I, ran up to some of my coworkers and they're like, so like on Tuesday when Russ got traded, I like ran up to my coworkers and we were all talking about it. And so I did it again today and everybody's like, who got traded now? And it was just an electric time. So like Alex said, I did do a video kind of projecting some possible trade candidates. And when I was working on that, I had asked a couple of Chicago podcasters that I know, like, what do you think would take the Bears to trade away Khalil Mack? And they said at minimum, like 2 third-round picks, like minimum. Mm-hmm. And, the Chargers doing this for a second and a 6th-round pick, I think is an absolute steal. I think, that we can get into the contract portion of that for sure. but the Chargers being able to pair this kind of player with Joey Bosa, there was no other way to do this, right? Like maybe you can get Von Miller, but there's no one else available on the market better than Khalil Mack at this point. There's no rookie that's going to make this big of a difference. So I was stoked, man. I could not believe that this had happened. I could not believe that they got this for a 2nd and a 6th round pick. I think this is a major, major slam dunk and a major push all our chips into the center of the table move by Tom Telesco, Brandon Staley, and the Chargers front office.
Dude, this was so I spent about $50 today on ingredients to make like a chicken pesto pasta, and I have not eaten it yet. I am completely full right now. Obviously, it's just sitting over there being cold, and that's fine. Here's a couple people have brought this up though. The Chargers now, so we'll talk about this in a bit. If the Chargers do make a play in the secondary, like a lot of the reports, whether it's J.C. Jackson, Travarius Ward, whoever it is, that means they have edge rusher, a high-end edge rusher, and a high-end corner locked up in the 1st round. You can trade back at that point, maybe get a 2nd, maybe even get a 3rd, right? Get another pick back in the top 100, and you still have 3 picks in the top 100, and you land yourself Khalil Mack, and you give up a 6th. Like, to me, this trade, and Arjun will talk about the details, but it's just 1,000 cherries on top of this thing. This is just fantastic. And, last year I talked about a different that I'd heard that they were looking for an edge rusher. The person that I got was Trey Flowers. We kind of would have speculated Khalil Mack or Von Miller at the time. But obviously it didn't happen last year. And, the Broncos never would have traded, Miller to the Chargers, and, Flowers was hurt and Mack was hurt. So it really wasn't like a good time to do it. So all that smoke last year about potentially having, them interested in an edge, I think was legit. Like, I think they were looking for somebody, but obviously at that point, there just wasn't really a good option, or somebody was hurt. So now that they're doing this, like, it's just, we all kind of assumed, like, Nwosu, like, we would love to have Nwosu back, but we all said, but after that, but he's not really a true, like, edge 1B or whatever. But so to have Khalil Mack, to not have to worry about, like, no offense, but like Karlaftis at 17 or Trevon Walker at 17, and they still could do that. But, the fact that they don't have to worry about, is Booth going to be there? Is Karlaftis going to be there? Is Walker going to be there? Is Ojabo going to be there? No, it's like, we got Khalil Mack. Oh, and by the way, we have a 1st round pick still. It's a fantastic pairing. If this pans out, like, this is just a fantastic move. I'm so happy. This never happens to us. Like, this doesn't happen to us. Like, think of the next trade that Telesco made before. Is it Cardell Jones for a 7th? Like, is that the other blockbuster move that he's made?
Dontrell Inman, baby.
Dontrell Inman was the last blockbuster trade to Chicago.
And he traded. Yeah, thank you. Maybe this is just like a, we give you Inman and we get Mack. I think that's fair.
50-50. That's pretty even.
Yeah, Telesco works in mysterious ways. Yes, I'm very happy. Arjun, please your thoughts. But let's hear about how the Bears got screwed on this contract.
Well, okay, if we're being honest, the Bears didn't get screwed. It was honestly a great deal for both sides. And, like, I know Steven was talking about how they were supposed, like, I would have thought they would have got more picks for him. A 2nd and a 6th is great for the Chargers to give up, but like the Bears, this is like what max value is, and he missed a ton of time last year, and that factors in heavily into, like, what the perception of him is. Recency bias is key in the NFL, right? So the Bears getting a 2nd and a 6th for him is still good for them, and, obviously they had to get his contracts off the books. $24 million in dead cap for them is the highest non-quarterback figure ever in NFL history, and it only is behind Russ, Wentz, and Goff. So. And
That's
I'll go into the contract specifics, when we get to that. But, like, the biggest takeaway for me, honestly, it wasn't how Mack is going to fit into the scheme, and it wasn't the Mack and Bosa thing, which I'm going to let you guys handle all of that. It was the fact that it seems like the Chargers are embracing what the Rams did, but to a lesser extent, if that makes sense. Like, the Rams never made this, like, type of intermediate move. I guess, like, they kind of got, like, a similar deal for Von Miller, but Von was a free agent after this season, or, like, last season. So it was really like an all-in move. And trading for Khalil Mack, he's going to be on the roster for 3 more years. Justin Herbert's contract ends in 3 years. Keenan Allen's contract, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, or I guess not Josh, like he's not that important, but like all of these contracts end when Herbert's rookie
Corey
contract
Linsley.
comes to a close. So Corey Linsley also, like you can see this. The Chargers have a 3-year window. They have 3 chances, and then after that, it's just dart throws because like winning when your quarterback after is not on a rookie contract comes down to front office stuff and like how well they can draft. And Telesco hasn't been the greatest at drafting, if we're being honest. Like that's a fair criticism of him, but like I think they're embracing the Rams philosophy, and because the NFL is a copycat league, you can see that they know they need to get more stars, and whatever it takes for Joey Bosa to not show up in the top right of Seth Walder's pass rush win rate and double team rate that he posts weekly would be a major addition. But and Mac, I mean, having him and Bosa is going to change his defense. And like I've been in hell on Twitter. Like that one tweet I put out about not including Joe Burrow in the top AFC quarterbacks, because it was supposed to be an Aaron Rodgers tweet, not a Joe Burrow tweet. I did take a shot, but like I was getting called so many things. And like one of the things about like I was like, oh, the Chargers defense is going to be like, it's going to be solid next year. And they're like, oh, how was Staley's defense in 2021? I'm going to go on my victory laps once the next big domino falls that Tyler has alluded to. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a huge day. And, you know, this is big for like, obviously this is big for the team as a whole, right? But like, all due respect to Robert Quinn, Khalil Mack's never played next to a guy like Joey Bosa, and Joey Bosa's never played next to a guy like Khalil Mack, all due respect to Melvin Ingram. So, you know, Brandon Thorne and all these, you know, trench guys that I respect, they're all talking about what this does for your team, because if you go into empty, right, like where are you double teaming now? You're going to you can't double team both of these guys. And, you know, we saw Bosa getting double teamed, triple teamed like every single week. Like that picture against the Ravens, like, you know, everybody who is kind of critical of Joey Bosa, it's like, oh, he doesn't dominate games, he doesn't impact the game like an Aaron Donald. It's like, well, the man's getting triple teamed like all the time. You can't do that anymore now with Khalil Mack next to him. And so, you know, maybe down the road you add an Akeem Hicks in free agency as well. Like now you're just cooking with one of the best defensive fronts in the league. And like, this is just, I'm drooling over the fact that these two guys are going to combine for 25 sacks next year minimum. Like this is crazy to see. And as Mitchell Schwartz pointed out, they're on turf, man. These two guys are just going to put their hands in the dirt and just roar at these opposing quarterbacks. And so, you know, you see the Russell Wilson trade, the Chiefs are always all in. You had to go make a move like this. We all kind of thought it would be a top tier cornerback in free agency. That still might happen. And you add Khalil Mack. So I can't wait to see how this pans out, man, because you add these two edge rushers to this team, potentially some other things in free agency. This defense is going to go from bottom 5 to top 5 real quick next year.
Akeem Hicks, Los Angeles Charger. We're going to pencil that one in?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so, especially considering the other thing that we sort of know.
Yeah.
So that's which hasn't been announced, which is super weird. So I don't know what's going on there. Although, Steven, do you think that thing that we know on the coaching staff had anything to do with today? Because
no, to me, Mac getting to the Chargers is about Brandon Staley and his relationship with Khalil Mack. And, you know, there were several quotes that were being tweeted out by Joe Reed and everybody. And, you know, Khalil Mack and Brandon Staley have a great relationship. And the two of them spent 2 years together, spitballing ideas and everything. And so to me, this is about Staley and his relationship. It's also about Staley, you know, pushing Tom Telesco a little bit more than we are used to seeing of these head coaches, because, you know, everybody kind of criticizes Tom Telesco and there's a lot to criticize. And I agree with that. But Telesco has always done a good job, in my opinion, of collaborating with head coaches. And now, like, I think we're seeing the ultimate case of this panning out.
Steven, just because everyone's asking in the chat, because we do have almost 600 people live right now.
Let's go.
That's insane. But do you want to like half explain? We've explained it before, but that particular thing.
Like you want me to be like you want me to break it right now or what?
No, I would just what you said before. You've already said it, so or I can say that you've said it, but like
Yeah, so Tyler and I heard, or I heard a couple weeks ago that there was going to be something that happened on the coaching staff that directly pointed them towards signing Akeem Hicks, and I think that was kind of already going to happen. But you know, Akeem Hicks to me is might as well sign on the dotted line right now. It has not been announced yet. It is not the John Timu promotion that a lot of people kind of pointed to, but I mean, I feel like it's kind of easy to piece together if you've been paying attention, but yeah, I'm not going to say it specifically until I get permission from our source to say that happening.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
NFL Network on Twitter said this deal came together quickly today. So
Ooh.
I thought this might have been something that they would have had talks since Poles got hired, but I mean, if they came to an agreement about a second and a sixth, that probably means the Chargers were willing to buy low, and it probably means that it's a good thing. It probably means the Chargers were so focused on getting Mike Williams back, and once that happened, now you move on to the external pieces, Khalil Mack, the secondary piece, who I'm sure is going to be the big bombshell when it happens, but it does seem like the Chargers had a really good plan of attack to bring back Mike Williams, and now you're focused on everything else to make this roster as good as it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you know, we'll wait and talk about what I was just saw on Twitter, but yeah, like it's so good, man, and I think this is pointing towards the Chargers really being even more aggressive than this. I mean, you signed Mike Williams to, you know, a big contract, you trade for Khalil Mack, and this, like, I have to believe that this also has something to do with Russell Wilson coming to the AFC West too. So, I mean, whatever is happening to Tom Telesco, man, I'm all for it. This is a great day. I think, you know, Khalil Mack is going to be a fantastic addition to this team. And I will say, there are some people kind of worried about his injury last year. He did miss 13 games last year. Or wait, is that right? That math's not right. He played 7 games. So he missed 10 games. All right, there we go. So in his 7 games, he did put up enough numbers to be third on the Chargers in pressures, sacks, and tackles for loss. So kind of speaks there. But,
not bad.
I mean, in 2020, he still had 60 total pressures and 10 sacks. Like, he wasn't completely dominant, if you will, like he was when he won Defensive Player of the Year and almost won in 2018. But man, like he was still really, really good in 2020. I have to assume that the Chargers did their homework in terms of the medical side of this, and Ian Rappaport did say that all of this is, of course, physical pending. But I have zero concern about Khalil Mack's health or his ability heading into this season.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, you know, other than this season, it's not like Uchenna Nwosu was always like healthy for 16 games either. So it's not like if you had just brought in Nwosu that he would have been, oh, great, we have him for 17 games for sure. Like, not necessarily. I just love that this is also going to signal to any, like, before free agency, it's like, you thought you were going to sign over there? Okay, well, we just traded for Khalil Mack. You sure you still want to sign over there? If we were your option number 2, we might be 1 now. Just like signaling, hey, we're all in here. We just traded for Khalil Mack. We got this rookie deal. We're in Los Angeles. Like, it's more than just Herbert now. Now it's actually like, yeah, we locked into a quarterback. Okay, and he's really good. And players want to play for him, sure. But now it's like, well, we're gonna make moves too. And so if you were thinking about going to Miami before for $1 million more, you can play with Tua, right? Make a lot of money. Or you can join Justin Herbert, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, and the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean,
man,
I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty good day.
Who's the frat dude talking? All right, so let's talk about the contract side of this, Arjun, if you will, because I know that, you know, we mentioned the $24 million dead cap for the Bears, but what's this do for the Chargers and their cap space, and really how much are they paying Khalil Mack?
Okay, so let me.
Before Arjun gets into that, just make sure that you rip it off if you're watching. Make sure you steal the information and use it all on your own. And don't
We're
give
still
Archer
on
any
this?
credit. Oh yeah, I'm still on this.
Oh.
Can one of you I shared my screen because I
Oh,
have
yeah.
over the cap opened.
Go.
Is there
You
any?
got it,
Okay, there we go. So actually I did this wrong. I'm just gonna share my entire window. My bad. Because I have there's two tabs we need to kind of like go back and forth on. So okay, so I shared my screen again. There we go. So let's first look at Khalil Mack's contract, right? So the Chargers are only on the books for 2022, 2023, and 2024. The void year does not come into play for the Chargers because it's part of the prorated bonus. Prorated bonus is essentially the signing bonus divided by the number of years of the contract. So Khalil Mack signed a 6-year contract worth 90 million, 34 mil signing bonus. So right below 6 mil in signing bonuses each year. So again, the Chargers are only on the books for 2023, 2024, and 2022. Now, when you look at OTC and be like, oh my gosh, they have to pay 30.15 mil. That's not true. The Chargers are only on the books for Khalil Mack's base salary and roster bonus each year of his contract. I'm not really sure how the workout bonuses come into play because Chargers generally don't give workout bonuses to their players. So I think this will be excluded from the contract. Plus, it's a pretty minimal like exclusion. Or 200,000 is a lot, obviously, but based on what Khalil Mack's contract is, I don't think it's going to come into play. So essentially, what we're looking at for 2022 is 12.05 million plus 5.5 million. So we're looking at about a $17.55 million cap hit, excluding the workout bonus for 2022. So we can see the OTC calculator, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what this does, and I also factored the Brian Bulaga cut, which I'm expecting to happen. So if we add Khalil Mack's contract, which you can see, it includes the 17.75, but again, I don't know how the workout bonus is going to play. So I guess for OTC's sake, we'll include it. But you can see for a $17.75 million cap hit for 2022, that brings our cap space down to 35.3 mil. That's including the Brian Bulaga cut, which is expected to happen now, or what if he retires or whatever. Now, if we also factor the rookie class spending and in-season budgeting moves, we can kind of subtract about 10 to 11 mil from this $35 million cap space projection. So we kind of, because, and we take a little bit off the
rookie
class.
Yeah,
the
the pool.
rookie class cap, because as Alex pointed out, we don't have the second and the sixth anymore. So that you have to subtract that value as well. So we end up going into Monday with about $25 to $26 million in cap space by a rough estimate, and that obviously Khalil Mack has a pretty decently sized cap hit, but you can do a lot with 25 and 26 mil. And you saw how Tom Telesco structures his year one cap hits. It's going to be low, and it's going to be something like much lower than what their APY is. So the Chargers, in my opinion, are definitely in play for another big free agent if they really choose to do so. No, I'm not going to name any names, but that's kind of how the cap situation is with the Chargers right now.
Yeah, so I know we are OTC guys, but there's a couple questions in here, and the Twitter account for SpotRack tweeted out the idea of the Chargers restructuring that, and SpotRack seemed to think that they can get the cap hit all the way down to as low as $4 million.
Yeah. So I can explain that. Actually, that doesn't make any sense.
I didn't think it made any sense either, but
because it doesn't make sense because actually no, it does make sense, but I don't see why they would do it. You don't want they're in a healthy cap situation right now. They don't really need to restructure any money. And if we're being completely honest, I love the move. It obviously comes with a little bit of risk, given that Khalil Mack's going to be 31 by the time the next season starts. So why do you want to be stuck in a situation where you don't have outs? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like
So
if you want to, sorry, no, because I can't see your faces when you guys are responding, but like you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you made this move, it doesn't work out, and now you're stuck with him because you thought it was the right move. There's nothing guaranteed in football. Okay. So it was a good, like, this is the right move, but it might not work out. So you want to have that flexibility to potentially cut him. And look, zero guaranteed, and there's zero guaranteed for the Chargers. They're not on the books for him in 2023 and 2024. If he sucks, if he regresses, if he gets injured, just cut him in 2024. No cost, because the Bears already took care of all of the signing bonus, and there's no guaranteed money after this year, or starting this year.
So you're saying that essentially it's better for the Chargers to not restructure the deal and keep the cut possibilities in there instead.
Yeah. And it's not because I don't think Mac's gonna work out. I want him to work out as much as any other Chargers fan. I just think you want to be able to have that flexibility. Plus, like, why do you want to be doing the things that the Saints and Packers are doing when you have a quarterback on a rookie deal? Like, restructuring contracts when you have this flexibility from the quarterback on a rookie deal is just so counterintuitive. Like, I don't understand why people are coming up with this. You want to have as much flexibility as you can. And if you don't need the cap space, then you don't need to create more room. And, restructuring a contract for this year is great, but you're guaranteeing more money for Mac in the future. And is that what you really want to do? And it hurts future cap years. Like, say the Chargers don't win this year, they're still in a really good spot for 2023. Do you really want to take cap space away from there? Just things to keep in mind.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you for breaking that down, Arjun. This is just, I still can't believe I'm seeing zeros there. Like, this whole thing is just, someone in the chat says, Arjun, can you restructure my salary?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
man.
obviously if the Chargers do have $26 million left in cap space after doing this, I mean, that's still a good chunk of change to go get your guys. And we know that, as Arjun is saying, right, that Tom Telesco and Ed McGuire are able to do these, backloaded contracts to be able to sign things. So Tyler had his phone blowing up today, so I'll let him take it from here. Tyler, what do you expect the next domino to be for the Chargers from here on out?
Well, I expected nothing. And then you get messages. I took off my glasses. I'll just read it. So what I got was a message after this trade, of course. So to trade it for Mac, and I got a message. Just wait, there's more. Of course, I had a mini panic attack and freaked out about that. I was asking for which position. The word I got was back end. And then I was dying to figure out who. It's a big name. I don't know who yet, but I've been assured it's a big name. Now, if big name ends up being they signed Charvarius Ward, I'm sorry. It's a big name to whoever this person thinks is a big name. But of course, we do think that it could be J.C. Jackson, James Bradbury, the Brandon Staley and Ryan Figgin have both mentioned Harrison Smith. So those are options. I think the J.C. Jackson one is very interesting because yesterday, and how I feel about this, I'm not sure, but I was told with certainty that J.C. Jackson's on their board. And the question that I asked was, well, he's not on their board, right? Like, he's definitely off their board because of the character stuff. And so to get the opposite from somebody was very, very interesting. That now, is it going to be J.C. Jackson? I don't know, but you're obviously just putting things together there. It sounds like the Chargers are in need. We know they've wanted to go after a number one corner. Brandon Staley alluded to the fact that there are few number one corners in the NFL. And I think we're about to find out who Brandon Staley thinks is a number one corner in the NFL. That could be J.C. Jackson. Maybe it's Charvarius Ward. And they signed. Now, also, I was not specified when. I wasn't specified what position, right? So it could be corner, could be safety. And I also wasn't specified whether it was specifically a trade or a free agent signing, or we even sort of talked about before the show, a sign and trade, but that's not going to happen. So technically, they could be bringing in a big name in free agency later. But given the timing of this, and given that the just wait, there's more aspect of the information, it sounds like it could be a trade. So Smith, Bradbury could be interesting. I don't know. Point is, it does sound like this is heating up. It sounds like this is something that could happen. I had a mini panic attack for sure. Again, I still haven't eaten. So if I pass out in the middle of this podcast, I apologize. But we'll see. Yeah, a lot of people are saying Tyrann Mathieu. That is definitely possible. Obviously, we've already mildly connected some dots there, and Matthew's done his best attempt to connect some dots. But again, that's not a trade thing. That's a signing thing. So again, that could happen. I don't know. It could be a signing, but it feels kind of early. So I don't know what, but we're in for something because there's enough. Well, steam is the word I got. So that's that.
Alex?
Oh, I mean, yeah, no, I mean that makes a lot of sense. I do kind of think it's going to be JC Jackson at this point. It feels like there's too much smoke there to escape. If they don't get JC Jackson, there's always a Charvarius Ward in play, as much as that's not a big sexy name. But I do think, you know, some was it Garofalo who mentioned Stephon Gilmore a couple days ago?
It was, yeah.
Not that I
Yeah.
would be thrilled with that move in terms of age, but would fit the profile of being a big name. For sure. So I think that's another one to kind of watch out for. But yeah, no, Tyler spent $50 on his pesto pasta. I spent $20 on a stock image of Brandon Staley and Khalil Mack, baby. Call it a fucking NFT. All right. I put that shit on Twitter and I knew it would fucking bang. All right. So that's why I did that. But
Alex, that picture I posted last year. You could have just asked me.
shit. But anyway, no, I'm gonna put it on the blockchain. I'm gonna make it an NFT. Fuck the stock photo company. All right. Anyway, we just traded basically Uchenna Nwosu and Larry Roundtree for Khalil Mack. That's what we did. All right. That's how fucking awesome this trade is. I'm just so happy. And sorry for Uchenna. You know, I think he's a great player. He's gonna work out somewhere else. But what a day.
Man, it really is what it is. And I think we were all, you know, kind of talking ourselves into the potential of Uchenna Nwosu and, you know, him potentially be like really being that number 2 guy. So now they don't need him. And I don't think that they could afford him at this point. So, you know, there is a ton of smoke around the Chargers going after a number 1 corner. You know, I happen to think Charvarius Ward is a good signing. I don't necessarily I would not qualify that as a big name. It's definitely not Jalen Ramsey. That is definitely not happening there. But I think you're looking at JC Jackson, Stephon Gilmore, or James Bradbury to really kind of, you know, lock that number 1 spot down. I know a lot of people are kind of down on James Bradbury. I still think he's got some really good years left. So that's what I'm expecting there. A lot of people have asked me about Uchenna Nwosu. That is completely off the table unless he's taking a massive pay cut, you know, which is kind of unfortunate. But Khalil Mack, man, like,
Yeah.
like I had a bunch of people message me like, oh man, this definitely means Uchenna Nwosu is back, and it's like almost
No.
who cares? Like,
No.
it's Khalil Mack, like,
And like also for Uchenna, like he shouldn't want to be back. He should go for a starting role in
Right.
you know Green Bay or Indy or any of those places that want him. Like you know, I don't think he should take less money to be the 3rd pass rusher here for his sake. I mean, that would be cool as a Chargers fan, but like, that would kind of be sucker shit. Go get your bag. All right.
Yeah, and Luis Enriquez pointed out Carlton Davis as well. I mean, this cornerback market, you know, there's never been this many corners, really good corners on the market before. So I think all those guys are in play. You know, yesterday I got to interview Daniel Popper and I asked him about the cornerback market, and he said everything is on the table. And so, you know, I don't think there are other top tier names outside of that, but DJ Reed, I mean, Nate Tice mentioned Steven Nelson. The Chargers are going to sign a free agent corner. It's just now we're hearing that it's a big name. And to me, that's JC Jackson, that's Stephon Gilmore, or James Bradbury.
Guess we'll find out. Arjun, I know you're on Google because I can see your shared screen not being shared.
Yeah, no, sorry. No, if I could jump in real quick because I wanted to talk about JC Jackson and Bradbury. I'm trying to. There's too many tabs up. Okay, if you want to let me share my screen, we can talk a little bit about it because I do think. Okay, so I do think
that's us.
It's going to be between JC Jackson and Bradbury. So we heard all the talk that, we kind of expect JC Jackson to reset the market, right? And Steven, I know you talked with Brad, and I trust Brad's judgment on it 100% that I don't think he's going to reset the market. I think he comes in something like around maybe like 18, 19 mil. But if we look at Jalen Ramsey's contract when he signed the extension, his first year of the deal, he only had a $9.7 million cap hit. So it goes in line with what Ed McGuire and Tom Telesco like to do. It kind of represents what I think the rest of what Jackson's contract is going to be. If he signs something like 18, 19 mil, I think his year one cap hit will be something like maybe like 8 to 9 mil, just to keep it as low as possible. And again, if you're looking at Ramsey's contract and you see the 8.2 prorated bonus and only a $25 million signing bonus, just know the Rams converted 16 mil of Ramsey's signing bonus to base salary, or no, they converted part of Ramsey's base salary to signing bonus. So actually, I might be wrong here. I think, okay, so we do some calculation. Maybe okay. I might be tripping because the Ramsey contract was. Okay, yeah. So I did not prep for this.
That's okay. We really sprung this on you, so
we didn't prep for this either.
This was an emergency pod, so yeah, when I interviewed Brad a couple weeks ago, he said that he was so he had JC Jackson's projection at 4 years, $18 million, and he was told by people around the league that was too high, that JC Jackson was going to be lower than that. So I think at this point, there's obviously a lot has changed because he wasn't franchise tag. There's probably going to be a larger bidding war for JC Jackson than we were kind of thinking. So I don't think he beats Jalen Ramsey, but I think we could be looking at $17-18 million APY, of course, for JC Jackson. Obviously, Arjun has James Bradbury up on here. That will be lower, but you probably have to trade for him. Maybe the Giants cut him in the next couple of days. I don't know, but those are the options there. And I think Stephon Gilmore would probably be the most affordable option of those two. But like Alex said, then you're talking about age. You're talking about that cliff for corners that, maybe you get him on a 1-year deal at this point. I don't really know. But like I said, I do expect them to go after a big name corner, and I think it would be one of those three.
Yeah, and just to, I think we can talk about Bradbury a little bit. The issue with trading for Bradbury outside of giving up draft capital is I feel like the Chargers could be obligated to extend him after this year, because essentially it's a 1-year deal. It's a 1-year rental. And I know it says 21 mil cap hit, but when you trade for a player, the team that trades for him are only take on their base salary and all the bonuses. So the Chargers are really only on the books for about 13.5 mil if they trade for Bradbury. And they lose 13.5 mil, but they probably trade like a 3rd or 4th rounder for him. So then you also have to add that projected rookie contract on the book. So maybe it's about, like, if they trade for Bradbury, they're probably taking on like 12.8 in cap space, 12.8 mil, 12.9 mil, or 12.7 mil, around that area. So that's obviously, that might be higher than what they could sign JC Jackson for. I think going back to the Ramsey contract, I'm really sorry that I kind of just messed it up, because I didn't realize they converted his salary. So if they converted 16 mil of his base salary, that means his cap hit in year one was like really high. So I was mistaken there. But like Ramsey's contract set the market. So, if JC Jackson is not going to reset the market, then his year one cap hit could be pretty low. Maybe, like I said, 8 to 9 mil, or potentially like 10 to 11 in that range of outcomes. I would estimate probably like 9 to 10. If it's a 4-year deal, I think it ends up in like the 9 to 10 range. If it's a shorter deal, it's probably going to be a higher year one salary, fully guaranteed.
That sounds fantastic. If we are sort of nearing the point where we're running out of things to talk about, could we simulate this and see what it looks like? Oh, you're right here.
Yeah, sure.
Wow, Arjun, you're just way ahead of me here.
Yeah, so this is Bradbury. right? So
Someone said to Lesko, go get Justin Tucker, you madman.
That could be back end, a back end player. Technically,
Yeah.
like back
End of the field because they're,
Yeah.
they're always off to the side. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Steven, I'm curious, like my thing with Ward, I agree that I think he's a very good corner, and like I think he's going to get a good payday on the open market. I just don't see Staley making a move for a corner that isn't really like an elite number one. Like I think he had Kyle Fuller in Chicago. When he went to Denver. Who were the corners? They kind of like overhauled their whole.
The Denver secondary.
The
the Denver secondary was kind of a mess. It was not exactly that great. So until they got Surtain, but no, I think Charvarius Ward. Like, I think he has the potential. Him and Michael Davis have the potential to each be like high end number twos. And I think Charvarius Ward probably does get, $13 million, $14 million maybe. So I don't think that Charvarius Ward is a number one. But I think he is a very good backup plan in case you do end up getting into a 20, 21, $22 million bidding war for JC Jackson. Like, I think Tom Telesco is going to have a cutoff line there for what he's willing to pay for JC Jackson. And if he gets too high, then I think you could see him pivot a little bit to signing just like a really solid number two.
Quick question. Sorry. Steven, just bring up another name potentially. I think you talked about him in your either trade candidate or cut candidate video. What's the scoop on Tashawn Gibson? Like, what is his contract? Do you remember it being a thing that they could even look into?
I think he could be a cut candidate, but that's not a big name. Like Tashawn Gibson is like, Kyle Fuller at this point right now. So I think Gibson would be a fine addition, in that like Bobby McCain realm of adding a really solid third safety. Apparently Austin Eckler said something about the backfield. Where did he say this?
He just said, I can't wait to. I'm sorry, I meant Eddie Jackson. That's my bad.
Oh, Eddie Jackson. Okay. I don't know anything there, but a couple of people asking about Xavier Howard. That could be a possibility too. We don't really. I think last we heard that they were looking towards a contract extension for like the third year in a row. So that's probably something that happens in the summer.
I don't think Eckler was tweeting anything. He was just
he wasn't.
wishing Herbert a happy birthday, and people were like, "That means Cordero Patterson." Shut the fuck up.
I don't think they can get an expensive corner and Cordero Patterson at this point.
Who knows? So who else was I gonna bring up? Oh, I was gonna say in terms of cornerbacks at this point, like based on how they're playing this offseason and the potential of JC Jackson, potentially another free agent corner, or going through the draft. I mean, this feels like they're going through the offseason knowing they're cutting Michael Davis next year. And I feel like we kind of talked about that on the pod a couple times. But they sort of made that deal a 2x1 or like a 2+1 for a reason with all the guaranteed money paid out. So I do think that's kind of the direction we're headed. So I'll be interested to see. Obviously, they're going to probably push Asante to the slot like we've been talking about. Yeah. You'll have JC or CB1 on the outside, and then I guess this is kind of going to be like a transition year for Michael Davis to CB2, and then see if he can get a contract somewhere else. But I do think that he's probably gone.
Austin Eckler didn't tweet anything about anything cryptic. He was just saying happy birthday to Justin Herbert.
Yeah, you guys know Herbert is also in the backfield. Like he gets the snap.
Yeah,
Eckler's next to him.
So the thing that happens is he hands the ball off, and that occurs in the backfield. Yeah.
And yes, happy birthday, Justin. He is the baby goat. Happy to have him. So, somebody, Anthony Tran, asked about Marshawn Lattimore. I'm pretty sure they just restructured him. So trading Marshawn Lattimore would be literally the worst thing that they could do at this point. Yeah, Lorenzo makes a good point. Derek Stingley might fall, trade up for Sauce, whatever. Brandon Staley is going to make a move for number one corner. I wouldn't hate either of those things. So,
I would think trade up for Sauce might be off the table now with no second round pick.
Yeah,
I mean, they could trade a second round pick next year, but I don't think that's going to get people to budge. Tyler will consult his trade chart, but I would imagine trading up in the first round is pretty difficult now.
Oh, look at the poor little salty Bears fan in the chat. That's too bad.
What do you guys think of this contract I quickly drew up for JC? 4 years, 72 mil total value, $20 million signing bonus. Kind of on par with what Ramsey got, 5 mil a year. Fully guaranteed years 1 and 2, just because if they want to give him the security long term, they probably have to fully guarantee years 1 and 2. Roster bonuses in year 3, similar to what 3 and 4, similar to what Jalen Ramsey got. I think they copy a similar structure. Cap hits increasing 10 mil in year 1, which is what Bradbury got. So I think this is a decent contract, and I was kind of close with the Mike Williams one. So
yeah, I mean, this contract looks pretty good.
Yeah, you were.
It's also not my money, not my cheddar, so they can just press send.
Yeah, I mean, $12.5 million in cap at the next 2 seasons, and then the third year is your all-in year, and at any point you can cut Khalil Mack or restructure this or do that. Can't ask for much better than that.
Okay, so we can see what this looks like. Again, it's a very similar thing to what, or we'll save more money this year signing J.C. Jackson than taking on Bradbury's $13.5 million contract with the workout bonus. But yeah, so again, we'll still have about 15 million cap space, enough to go get some solid mid-level free agents, and still have a lot of picks in the draft to fill holes. But
yeah, I tend to not think they would trade for Bradbury. I think at this point they would probably wait for him to get cut, if that's possible.
Sure.
But then, no, I think they're definitely all in on like J.C. Jackson, Stephon Gilmore kind of player. And also just for a length of a contract, right? And the fact that you can give him 3-4 years instead of 1, and then have the cap hit be better for this season and this immediate 3-year window versus the 1 year kind of screws you in free agency this year. So, but we'll see how that goes.
Arjun, we can see your. I'll take it off for you, but we can see your whole Google.
Oh well,
just in case.
I'm not hiding anything, Tyler. That's what you're insinuating.
Well, you might also go to your Twitter account, and then I did send you.
Oh no, I'll focus on.
Yeah. Right, so
this is for what it's worth. Sorry, this is what Brad has as his the 4-year 72 is what Brad has as his projection. So that's also where I got my numbers from. Just
so what is that?
Kind of based on.
What does that say for cap space now?
25 total leaves us with about 14 to 15 in like usable cap space for like the free agency.
Yeah, so I mean, $14 million, then you're getting, mid-level free agents like Arjun said. Popper seems to think that Justin Jones is gonna be coming back. Maybe because we don't need Uchenna and Nwosu. Maybe that does mean that Kaiser White comes back. And they kind of pivot there as opposed to paying Uchenna and Nwosu.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe that's kind of where you start, and then you go to Akeem Hicks and solve your nose tackle position in the draft, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone at this point wants to know where the Chargers are going to go at 17. Like, what are we thinking? There's echo. Anyway, obviously not.
Well, it's not edge anymore.
They could. Like, if Ojabo's there, just go nuts. Joey Bosa, defensive tackle.
Honestly, I would not hate that.
I mean, depends on what they do in free agency, but like today leaned me a little bit more into Jordan Davis. Yeah. Potentially being the pick at 17. I mean, like they'll get a Sebastian Joseph Day or an Akeem Hicks or somebody, but like in terms of finding that nose tackle, I don't know if that's gonna happen in like, or that kind of that like Linval Joseph kind of player. I don't know if that's gonna be happening in this free agency, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm sort of there right now. Could be a receiver. I mean, still, that's always possible.
Yeah.
Really, no position is off the board. Except edge. I think edge is pretty clearly off the board now. But other than that, pretty much everyone still available.
Yeah, I guess the big question for me is going to be right tackle, for as Don Solo is pointing out, because I mean, maybe you can work a cheap deal for Morgan Moses, or maybe you can work a cheap deal for Dennis Kelly. But at this point, you know, what I know for sure is that I'm not comfortable drafting a tackle at 17. You know, I'm not comfortable reaching for apparently we can't beat the Tennessee Titans. Like, when was the last time we played them? I'm confused. Anyways, that's a chat if you're listening to the audio version. But I'm not drafting a tackle at 17. Like, that is 100% not something I'm interested in, just based off of who we think is going to be there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not ruling out an edge rusher. Like, if David Ojabo is there, man, like, that's a no-brainer pick for me. I know obviously Arjun would be on board with that one. So we'll have to see.
I'm not out on edge rusher there. I just don't think they would do it at this point. Now that you have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa in the fold, particularly the fact that it's Khalil Mack with 3 years of contract control.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I mean, they're going to need a third
deal.
Yeah, they're going to need a third edge rusher. Like, they're not going to have Chris Rump be that third edge rusher. So,
well, yeah, but like I feel like that's something that they feel they can get in like a supplementary player versus like an Ojabo that's going to be eventually like a starter.
I think I honestly think I wouldn't be surprised if Fackrell's back. It's based on the way that, you know, Staley thinks so highly of him and wanted him in several different off seasons. It's not the best thing ever, but like at this point, you do have your starters. So I'm bringing him in very cheap, at least before the draft. You know, is a good way to go. I don't hate right tackle at 17 as much, depending on who's there. Like, if it is Penning, like, at least you do have corner. Well, if the second move happens, you do have corner, you do have edge taken care of. So I can live with Penning at 17, but I think them going for Mac 2 indicates that they don't think their guy is going to be there at 17, one of their higher rated edge rushers. So I think to them, like, you know, we're going to get Max. We don't have to have some random, you know, 6th or 7th edge rusher on our board, so we can go somewhere else. And I also do think that if they do get JC Jackson, and if that does happen, now 2 different cases for sure, but we also talked about them having Devontae Wyatt off their board because of the one history, that incident that he had. If they do go get JC Jackson, I could see them it being different, you know, this time with Brandon Staley in this regime, obviously doing your homework in the different, you know, situations. But I could see Devontae Wyatt being back on their board now if they go get JC Jackson.
Yeah, shout out real quick to Tim Stewart with a super chat feature. So I think still everything is on the table at 17. You know, I would be surprised if it was an edge rusher, but you know, you never know who falls at this point. So we'll have to see there. I do definitely think receiver is in play. Daniel Popper has said that a bunch of times, that if, you know, they really like Jameson Williams or Chris Olave, that he would not be surprised if those 2 were the pick there. So we'll have to see, man. But I think, you know, the next domino, of course, is corner, and then we'll see what they do at interior defensive line. So this has been a great episode, man. We hit 800, which is, I think, more than we ever got during the season, if I'm not mistaken.
More than we ever got ever.
Okay, so you know, we'll have to see. We're gonna go live on Sunday for our final free agency primer. We'll hopefully get some more information by then. Hopefully Brian Bulaga is cut by then, and we'll have to see. So Arjun, any final thoughts here from you before we head out for the day?
Yeah, it's strap up. You know, this is going to be a really fun offseason. Like, I thought last offseason was cool with Lindsley and Filer. They did what they needed to do, but this year it seems like they're embracing the, you know, being aggressive, and they're embracing how much cap space they have. And like, I really don't expect there to be too much rollover cap when it's all said and done, like heading into the season. It's really fun. It's really fun to be a Chargers fan right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Arjun said, strap up. Hopefully not Strap Harris. Hopefully that's over.
Oh no! Hopefully Strap Harris back to Denver, baby. Let's get that reuniting going. 20 million average annual value.
I'll push that propaganda for sure. I mean, this is just fantastic. We again have not seen anything like this. The Staley regime started with this craziness of being aggressive. You know, 3rd down will be aggressive, and we're going to revamp offensive lines overnight. You know, and now to start with this, like, we're starting the offseason with the Khalil Mack trade and potentially something else, and it does sound like that's in the works. it's a different regime for sure. And I think that, whether it's Telesco working well with Staley or just Staley having more, personnel control, if you will, there's just a really great synergy and aggressiveness right now that we've been waiting for the entire Telesco era. I mean, let's be real. Like, obviously this hasn't happened yet, but we've been waiting for this. Like, let's go all in for, Rivers with this coach and Rivers with the next coach and Herbert last year. But now it's like, we're here. Like we've been suffering, and I've spent so much money on season tickets to sit and watch the 4-12, and they might go 1-16 this year, but at least they swung. And I really appreciate the fact that they actually swung. I'm really, really happy here. It's a great day to be a Chargers fan. We always think about we're going to win, we win the offseason, we're going to win the Super Bowl. We always say that, but like, this is them actually going out of their way to say, we're going to go for it. And so I can't wait to be in the stands and to see Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa rushing at the same time on opening night, maybe even against, the Rams. It'd be fantastic. Dad, thank you for the super sticker, and thank you for Khalil Mack.
Johnny boy traded Khalil Mack all those years ago, and now he is a Charger. John Gruden, of course, unemployed, and here we are. Now this is the moment. I'm not going to say they're going to win the Super Bowl next year on this show. I've come awfully close a couple times, but this is the most fun I've had in years. The trade or transaction. I have that serotonin, that dopamine going right now. But no, this is really fun and an all-in move. I thought they were going to go after an edge. They went after an edge. I didn't expect it to be Khalil Mack in the way that it was, but the contract works out. He's here for 3 years. He's gonna be here if he's healthy. And they're going all in on the Herbert window, which they've established is 3 years till they got to pay him. So happy to see that happen. And Super Bowl or bust. Let's go.
Honestly, man, the expectations are sky high. Someone shared. Who shared that? Who made that?
Me.
Oh my god!
I didn't make it, but it's making me laugh.
Oh man,
that is amazing. So, I can't even collect my thoughts right now. Oh my gosh! All right, what are we doing here? Okay,
who cares?
Yeah. I tweeted out after the Mike Williams contract was official, right, that this was a clear signal that they were all in on supporting that Justin Herbert rookie window, even after Tom Telesco said, I don't really believe in windows all that much. Actions speak louder than words. They are all in. I can't wait to see what this next move is and what next week is going to be like. We said a while ago, this is going to be the craziest offseason in franchise history, and it's off to a roaring start. So Mike Williams extension, trade for Khalil Mack, couldn't have asked for anything better to start free agency. So as always, if you are done watching, please go like the video, subscribe, turn those notifications on. I can't imagine this is going to be the last emergency podcast in the next couple of weeks. So we'll be sure to have all of you guys covered. Of course, Arjun will bring us all the contract details as soon as we get them, and keep an eye out for Maddie's first social media contribution tomorrow. So that's going to be a fun one as well. So that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the super chats. Bolt up.